Today's building brick is,
Patience.
I was trying to be patient and wait.
Oh, I
a
wasn't very
little bit,
patient for
and
that.
she jumped in. No patience. Right there.
We know that. I know that.
So yes, today is about patience.
Yep.
And patience is by far something I think a lot of us lack. It's a building brick which all of us can work on.
For sure.
So it's going to be exciting to talk about that today.
Yes, I'm excited. So patience is a person's ability to wait something out or endure something tedious without getting riled up. It takes a lot of patience to wait for your braces to come off, to deal with a toddler's temper tantrum. I think we can both say that.
Oh yeah.
Or to build a house out of toothpicks. I don't know why anybody would do that, but
You've never done that with your kids?
I'm thinking like a full-size house. So we're talking like model version. Okay.
Yeah, no, not even toothpicks.
I built them out of toothpicks and marshmallows.
Yeah, toothpicks or popsicle sticks.
Yes, popsicle sticks.
Tons of popsicle sticks.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's patience. So today's Insta society, right? And everything you expect to happen like now. And the truth is that everything happens faster. Everything seems like go for a lot of people in the way that they live. And so the idea of patience seems really costly. Like the idea of having to wait for something. So just think about, for example, what happens with people financially in terms of their credit, right? Why do people the average Canadian, for example, the last stat I heard was that on average, people spend 125% of their income yearly. How do they do that, right?
Credit cards.
Credit cards, yeah. And the reason for that is because they have no patience to wait for the things that they can't afford. Right? So if you were able to actually have an attitude of, like, especially when it comes to your finances, an attitude of like, I can't afford this, I'm going to wait until this, and this happens, and then I can consider that, then that takes a tremendous amount of patience for people to be able to do that. And as long as you have that kind of mindset, then it allows you to not get into trouble when it comes to things like credit cards and whatnot. But our society's rigged for this, like we're set up to have no patience at all. We should have it now, and we deserve it. And we say all these crazy things to ourselves, like we should.
Yeah.
We should get everything we want, but without having patience to actually work towards these things, number one, we lose the value in those things. Like they actually don't mean that much to us. Like we haven't put in the effort.
Right. Yeah.
And then on top of that, you end up with like a lot of people that just have expectations of like, yeah, I should get it now.
Hand it to you.
Yeah, just have it handed to you, is sort of thing. And so again, the value of things go down, and your stress levels go up because you're not getting that thing now. Why am I not getting that thing now? I should be getting it now. And then, and it just blows up. So, when it comes to patience, I think it's so critical in today's world.
Do you think there is like, I don't even know how to say this quite, but different forms of patience? So I'll give you examples. So like, there's patience for waiting for something, and then I'm going to think about kids and like my patience when they are being.
What's this doing here?
I don't know. It must be from the live the other day.
Was it?
Yeah. We will need that probably.
Is Pepsi our sponsor?
Should be.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's Is there different forms of patience? So, for instance, like what you were talking about, waiting for something and then having to, once you get it, what were you just saying? It's more valuable to you because you've waited. But then there's the other form of patience. This is what I'm wondering. Is there another form of patience for like when your kids are all worked up and they start being really extra loud and screaming really loud? Like I feel like my patience with them, but I'm not working towards anything.
Right.
But with them, my patience, I'm like, you need to be quiet right now before my head blows off, I feel like. Do you know what I mean? So like there's that kind of patience, and then there's like what you were talking about.
Yes. So yeah, I'd say that's another form of patience in terms of like just considering the fact that you're under a stressful situation, right? And you want something to get resolved now, right? So so now you're in this state where you're just like, okay, I want it now. I want you to be quiet. Stop, right?
I want to hear silence right now.
Yeah, and then so then you lose your patience, right?
Yeah.
Rather than taking the step back and then going and then just trying to even assess the situation is like, why are they screaming? Maybe I should take care of what's causing the screaming, sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so then even as parents, like when it comes to that sort of thing, it's so much easier, for that instant gratification to just say, shut up, like just be quiet, and we're all guilty of it.
Yeah.
We are all guilty. I don't care who you are, you've done it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what kind of saint you are, you've lost your patience, you screamed at your kid, just be quiet or stop it or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's because of that lack of patience to actually handle it in a different manner, because sometimes we feel like sometimes you feel like you think it's not going to even compute with them. You don't think that, if you give them patience, if you use patience in trying to deal with it, you feel like they're just not mature enough to actually go through the motions of getting resolved as well. It's like they can't, they're just not mature enough to walk through it. And so
until they hear you say, shut up to them, say you said that to them, then you hear them say that to their little brother or little sister.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa.
You just taught them how to not be patient.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So they lose so it's a lost opportunity to teach them that type of building brick.
Yeah.
And I think it's unfortunate, because a lot of it has to do with charged emotions. You think about how kids can get very they can get very riled up, and they can get very it's just like you need an interrupter to just stop them from like whatever cycle they're in of just like being emotionally charged.
Yep.
And if you can do that in some patient way, wow, that'd be amazing. I don't even know what that is.
Sending them to their room maybe, and giving yourself and them a minute, and then going in and having a civil conversation.
There's the timeout method. Yes. So the timeout method is interesting. How it gets implemented though is very difficult, because like I've used timeouts on at least one of our kids.
Yeah.
And so with that, basically we will put him into a corner and we'll say, okay, you need timeout, because he's just flipping out.
Yeah.
Right. And so then that eventually he calms down, he comes out, but at the same time you haven't really there's still communication issues in terms of like helping them to like understand what it is they did, like understand like what they did wrong, and these types of things, and ways that they can redirect that energy.
Yeah.
But the truth is that I think when kids are really young, it tries your patience. You have to actually like take a step back and maybe even try a couple of mantras that are going to help you to like reset yourself before you respond to them.
Yeah. Back to what you were saying, like the communication part, I will often get them to explain, like when they're ready to tell me what they did wrong or what they could have done differently, that's when they can come at a timeout. That's when we'll have our conversation. Like when they can tell me, because sometimes they don't even know.
Yeah.
So they're in a timeout and they're like, why the heck am I in here?
Yeah.
Like they need to know. And if they don't know, then you can explain that to them. They have the capability to listen to you. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do good things always come to people who wait?
More, I'd say on average, yes.
Yeah.
So think about investing, for example, right? Think about Bitcoin.
Yeah, I knew this was coming.
So do good things come to those who wait? Yeah, so in that case, a lot of good things came to those who wait, right?
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, it doesn't always work out that way.
No.
You have to pay attention, but the truth is that when you have a long-term perspective on things and you are able to have that instant gratification, we'll call it the instant gratification monster, crushed, then you can start to make moves that are much more long-term. And so generally speaking, if someone's going to like invest in stocks, for example, everybody just generally knows, just like, well, if you put something in stocks, they generally know that in 10 years from now, it's going to be XYZ higher.
Yep.
And that's just based on past performance.
Right.
Same thing in cryptocurrencies, same thing in whatever you do when it comes to, now the one thing, the one thing you don't want to wait for is holding on to your money, because that's actually deflating, that's actually deflating in value. So you have like, so if you were to have $10, so if you were to have like $100 today, and you waited 10 years, saving it, your $100 like 10 years from now would be like you
$10.
Yeah, it would be like $10. Yeah, because it's deflating so quickly. So so you have to be smart about it. Not all good things come to those who wait, but generally speaking, majority of things do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. What do you think happens when someone's too patient?
When someone's too patient?
Yeah.
So if you're too patient, then you miss things. Like
Yeah.
then you don't have a sense of urgency to
No
actually
drive.
to actually like you can make a decision to be patient, but then what it could be if someone's too patient, I would almost think that that's almost like an excuse to not take action. Analysis paralysis is sometimes what it's called. So you'll spend lots of time thinking, oh, I better be patient and make sure everything is lined up, and just be careful and this kind of thing. But the truth is that you're not really you're actually holding back. It's driven by fear. So if you're too patient, sometimes that's just that's almost like a symptom. It's a symptom of fear.
Yeah.
Right. Or maybe
you just don't care.
You just don't have that sense of urgency to care for what you're doing. And so you're just like, nah, I'll be patient about it. And, but you just don't care.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that you can be, if someone's too patient, there's that. And then if you want to think about patience in terms of like, being able to take the time and go through tedious things, it could be a benefit in some cases where someone really can like basically just not be concerned with all the things that are being thrown at them. But I think that generally, most of the time when we talk about too much patience, it's generally a bad thing. Like I think that they're being driven more by fear of taking action or fear of whatever they're dealing with, versus actually being too patient or being being too patient.
Yeah. It's kind of funny that we bring this up because I have this one friend who, she tells me I'm like the most patient mom she's ever met. And like every time I'm around, like we're around each other with our kids, she's just mind blown. And I'm like, she's like, I'll tell you time and time again. I was telling other people, like when I wasn't even around, she was telling people this. And now I'm like, oh gosh, am I too patient? Like maybe, I don't think so. I don't know. But now I'm starting to question it. I always thought it was a good thing, but
it may not be too much patient. It might be that she just sees the amount of patience you have compared to her.
Yeah, and it's when this comes with the kid thing, like children. I don't know if
Yeah. So because of that, she's probably impressed with the amount of patience that you have with the things that you're dealing with kids.
Yeah.
And probably because she hasn't had that same experience, then she just sees it as wow,
Right.
So it's kind of like, there's your comfort zone, there's her comfort zone, and you look like you're well out of hers. And so she sees that, and she's like, holy cow, I can't believe you're doing that. I would just die if you did that, right?
About this.
Yeah, so then that's the thing. And so she's like, I can't believe the amount of patience you have to do this.
Okay. It makes me feel good when she says
It's great.
It.
Yeah. It shows that you've got a superpower that she doesn't have.
Yeah. She's got lots of superpowers, too, that I don't have.
Yeah.
What is something that you're not patient with?
What am I not patient with?
Yeah. Is there anything?
Oh, no.
I would say my kids sometimes, but then I go and I try to remind myself. Every time I think of this, I try to remind myself of what she said, because then it gives me the drive to be more patient, because I want to live up to her expectations now, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have very little patience with liars.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it.
I've had experiences with people, and like once I've realized that they're lying to me, I have a tendency to just cut them off.
Yeah.
Like I will just I have no time for someone who has that little integrity.
Right.
So if you don't have enough integrity
to own up
to something, or just be
tell
straight,
the truth,
and tell the truth,
be tactful,
and know that I'm, I guess they just don't even know that I would know better. But
right.
But yeah, if I figure out someone's lying to me, especially in a very deceitful way, like with the real intent to like want to try to hurt me,
right? That's even worse.
Yeah, and so I just have no patience for that. And rightfully so. I think that if I was more patient with that, I don't know if that would help me or not, though.
I don't even know if you should be.
No, because I mean, even and I get there's actually a text a long time ago that I read when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
It was from one of the Baha'i writings, and it was funny because I remember this so well because I was like in a Sunday school, and all the kids were just kind of standing around. We were just hanging out, and we were just like waiting for classes to start.
Yeah.
And then we had some of the writings with us, and so I just opened up one of the writings, and I said, okay, it's like we're gonna read this, and I opened it up to this page, and it said, "Trust no man," and then it's like, what? Like it said, "Trust no one," and then it went, and I said it like loud to everybody. I was like, "Trust no one." I was like, what? And then everybody was like, what? Right? And then it went on to say, "Save him." I can remember this well. It said, "Trust no one, save him whose breast has been dilated by the love of God."
Can you say that again?
It said, "Trust no one, save him whose breast has been dilated by the love of God."
Okay.
Right?
So what does that mean?
So what that means is don't trust somebody unless they have the love of God in their hearts, basically, right?
Okay.
Like so, and it's an interesting way. And then it goes on to talk about how because if somebody is lying to you, they think that you don't know, but you should not you should. Oh no, it went. Sorry, I got this all wrong.
Okay.
It didn't say trust no one.
Yeah.
It said show no kindness.
Okay.
Is what it said.
Show no kindness.
Yeah. Show no kindness to, like it said, show no kindness, but to he whose breast has been dilated with the love of God.
Yeah.
And then it goes on to talk about, because they may lie to you, they may not, they may lie to you, but and think you don't know, but
Yeah.
and then you're encouraging them to continue that.
Yeah.
Right. In so many words. So I remember reading that out, and so surprised that trust no one. And it was like actually
be kind to no one.
be kind to no one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So ever since I read that, I can remember, especially in my younger years, if I met somebody who was not being truthful with me or was being dishonest, I was very quick to cut them off.
To cut them out of your life.
Yeah, just cut them out. Yeah.
That's good.
So, yeah.
A little story before we get into 3 types of patience, but this is something that I actually, now that we're talking about it, I've reflected a little bit on it. So I've just recently got a new place, and I have waited about 2 years because there was hardly anything to rent in the community. I was even looking like half hour, 45 minutes away, like willing to travel. And I feel like I was patient. I remember getting so frustrated sometimes because I would go and I'd view these places and I would love it. And then they'd find out that I had 2 kids or that I was a 1-person income and just or 2 cats, and it was just random things. So it was always discouraging, but I'm so glad I waited because now I'm absolutely in love with my new place. And now it's with getting stuff for the new place because I pretty much had to start from scratch. So for instance, I just got a new TV stand today, and everything's, I honestly just want to go out and buy everything. Like I just want to buy everything that I need. But when you talked about you feel better about it because you've earned it and you've waited and you've done this, like that's how I'm feeling with it now. So whenever I get something, I'm ecstatic because like I needed this and things are slowly starting to come. Like I'm slowly starting to get the things I need, and I've been patient about it. But I'm so much more excited now that I've been patient about it because now I know why I'm so excited to get them, because I was patient and I've earned it. And yeah, so that's just a little story.
There you go. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we have 3 types of patience, and this is according to mindtools.com.
Okay.
I'll go through the 3 and then we can talk about each one of them. So the first one is interpersonal patience, life hardship patience, and daily hassles patience. So this is actually kind of what I was talking about earlier, is there different types of patience and now we're getting into it here. All right, so interpersonal patience. Interpersonal patience is a patience with their people, their demands, and their failings. You may consider some people to be slow learners, hard to understand, or you may even downright unreasonable. They may have had bad habits that drive you crazy. For instance, I'm flicking my thing right here. But losing your patience with them is no benefit, and it will actually make matters worse.
Yes.
You agree with that?
100%. And that's a lot of what we talked about in terms of like dealing with kids and things like that. That's interpersonal patience and dealing with people. Yeah.
Number 2 was life hardship patience. What do you think that is?
So when it comes to just where we are in our lives, for example, sometimes like life happens, right?
Yeah.
And stuff can come up that's unexpected.
I feel like the world wants to test your patience 24/7.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does,
Yeah.
you know, and this is why, like, so that we can be able to like overcome that and actually like work through it.
Feel stronger, more empowered.
Exactly. And of course, what happens at the end? It becomes more worthwhile. It becomes more worth it. And so then life becomes more valuable to us as we endure these hardships.
Yeah.
This is another one. Endure is another one, right? But
Yeah.
in terms of patience, as long as we continue to have that in handling life hardships and whatnot, then we work through that towards our long-term goals. They become that much sweeter once we get there, right? And it's not necessarily even once we get there, but it's the journey of getting there that becomes much more exciting, I guess, because if you don't have patience to work through them, and it's just kind of like, if it was all just la-di-da, like, oh, you know, this got handed to me, I got this, I got that. At the end of it all, you really don't value what you had to go through to get there.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like, just think about every scenario of where, you know, somebody had like the story of the typical person who had, you know, this lifelong dream of achieving something or getting somewhere and something like that, and then just having them handed to them versus they had to go through hell and high water to be able to do it, or they went through all these crazy things until they finally got there. It just becomes like that much more sweeter, right?
Yeah. And finally, daily hassles patience. So as we're going through this, okay, we'll go through this and then I'll say what I want to say. So that's stuff like waiting at a red light, or waiting in construction, or waiting for a computer program to load. Examples. I honestly think out of the 3, that's my biggest obstacle.
How so?
Because I don't have time to wait for frickin' construction or wait for a computer program to load. Like, I want it now.
There you go. Yeah. There you go.
So actually, as we're going through this, because I'm like, I am patient. Like with life hardship, I feel like that goes on to the story about me working and getting the stuff I need for my new place. But the daily hassles patience, that's the patience that I don't have.
That's the one you got to work on.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think so daily hassles like road rage, you know, and that kind of stuff. That's what hits everybody, right? Yeah. So I can totally get that, and maybe it's because why do we have so little patience for daily hassles?
Because there's not enough time in the run of a day.
Yeah, and you just don't need something else coming up to like get in your way, sort of thing.
Like I've just overcome like life hardship patience, and now I have to deal with a computer program that's not going to load, and I need to have this paper due and put in and email sent by certain times, and you don't have time to wait for that.
Yeah.
So you get frustrated.
Yeah.
What do you think would be a way to get through those little? Because they're on. But then I try to think, life always puts you where you're supposed to be. So if you're running late for work, don't go 140 to get to work. Go your normal speed, because that's where you're supposed to be in life right then.
Sure. Yeah.
No?
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing, but I mean that's a good way to think about it, because you're in the right place at the right time at all times.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of not necessarily where you are, but how you're going through it.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what a lot of people tend to lose perspective on, is that they get so caught up in what's happening to them. It's like, oh, I'm stuck in traffic, rah, 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 and that's all this stuff. Instead of, how are you going through it?
Yeah.
Are you going through this with grace and, you know, joy?
Yeah.
Or are you just turning into, rah, you know, kind of thing, right? What's happening?
Yeah.
So you have a choice and you can make it a quality one, which is going to make you feel better, right? Or make you to put you into a state where you could potentially, come up with some amazing idea that's going to change your life.
Right.
Or you get so rallied up in the anger, so rallied up in the frustration, so rallied up in your loss of patience and all those bad things that you just end up just eating away at your own liver, because that's what happens when you're angry, when you get angry and frustrated at these things.
And I feel like the daily hassle patience, like that can lead to being impatient in your interpersonal and your life hardship. Like I think that for me, that's where any other unpatience would stem from, would be daily hassle ones.
Impatience.
Yeah.
Unpatience is a Kellyism. Yeah.
Okay, good to know. Yeah. I was going to just say something, but I forget. What you were just saying. So say I'm stuck in construction. This is an example. Say I'm stuck in construction. I'm on my way to a doctor's appointment. I'm already running 5 minutes late, and then bam, I'm stuck. So now I'm like, I'm getting all warm and sweaty because I'm very upset. But deep down, I know there's nothing I can do about it right now. Right. So why not call the doctor's office and say, hey, I'm going to be 10 minutes late.
Exactly.
And then that way you're not stressing about it, and you can sit there and get other stuff done and think about other things, like you said, come up with that brilliant idea or whatever it may be.
Exactly.
Yeah. Solve the problem instead of raging out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you use patience in those scenarios.
Yeah.
Because now you can come up with solutions that are going to end up just helping you to be able to thrive.
Right. All right. That is the first episode of Patience. That
is Patience. And next we're going to talk about how to become more patient.
Yes.
That's not how, but we'll show you how.
Thank you for listening to Enter the Bunker. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, where you can share your story and also look at behind the scenes of how we make our podcast. You can watch the video version of this podcast on YouTube by simply searching Enter the Bunker. Tune in next time as we launch into thriving.